Hello and good evening, everybody. Welcome to round 3 of the North American Grand Prix GT2 Championship, coming to you live from Birmingham Superprix in England. And before we go any further, let me welcome my partner here tonight, Brad Maris. Brad, welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Al. It was a heck of a show we had last week at Rowan, wasn't it? And I don't think we're going to see any less of a show here tonight. Boy, I tell you, one heck of a tricky Birmingham circuit. I hope most of these guys have gotten their practice in. These drivers are going to have to be very careful around this place if they expect to put in a good result.
Well, we just kicked it over to qualifying 1. Ooh, the track is flooded. So we got some time here. Let's take a quick look at the track map. And then an onboard from Aaron Parsons. Track 7 corners. It's a street circuit in Birmingham, England. And let's jump on board real quick with Aaron Parsons.
At the line now at Birmingham Superprix circuit, on board Aaron Parsons in his Viper, and immediately challenging the walls is Aaron Parsons at this Birmingham Superprix circuit into a very tight little chicane here, key to set up properly so you can get a lot of pace coming off. Early acceleration here, desperately needed down some very long straights at this Birmingham Superprix circuit. So tricky braking zone here. You definitely don't want to get the entry too narrow because you need to maximize your apex coming off, as once again headed down a long blast into a right-hand corner now. So challenging the walls is very critical around this place to maximize lap time. As you can see Aaron doing just that, blasting down yet another long straight. So power car is definitely going to have an advantage around this place. Just not too many twisties for the handling cars to take advantage of. So into another quick left-hander here. Some guys will have problems with the front end washing out around there. And another left-hand corner here, a little slower than the last one. As we wind down the rest of the lap here, relatively short lap time around this place as we come now into the final chicane. Really tricky on the brakes there as we complete our lap here at Birmingham Superprix.
You go, Brad, as David Poole has just started this hot lap here. We mentioned the track conditions are actually, they've gone to wet, so track temp 62 degrees, ambience 55 degrees Fahrenheit. You wonder how much time these guys have put in the wet here. I know the chance of rain is quite high here, so chances of us having a wet race tonight is, well, it's going to be a high possibility.
Well, I suspect that quite a few of them have. I tell you though, that looking at some of the times in practice, I wonder if there are a few guys that didn't get the opportunity to practice much during the week of practice, so there may be a few guys caught out just if this track were dry, let alone if it were wet. So yeah, started flooded, just now went wet, temperature looks to be holding about even, and we're going to see what these guys can do here in these tricky conditions.
So we got our eye right now on David Poole, who is on a flyer at the moment in the Gumpert. So touching back on this track real quick, Brad, as we mentioned, it's a street circuit. It's got some decent to semi-long straights, a couple tricky corners here where the walls, especially on exit, really creep up on you quickly, and you got to be careful on exit. And some bumpy entrances into the corners, and it's going to pose a challenge to some of these guys. Pull right to top of the time sheet. Go ahead.
So really this track is, you mentioned 7 corners, and I think that is correct, but really, I don't know if you're still on pole, but he crashed. But really what it is 7 opportunities for braking and acceleration. That's really the whole key around this. Is at a premium. If you find yourself off of the groove here, then you're going to be losing a lot of grip. And again, it's all about acceleration and getting down these short shoots and long straights. So that's really going to be the key around here. You have to take chances if you expect to get a good lap time around this place, and that's where some of the problem could come in around here, Al.
So following Alex Scott, who's currently in 5th early on here in this session. We're looking at the practice times earlier. We saw some familiar faces up front. Alex White was leading the way, but Mike Monahan was showing some good pace in practice, as was Dan Wilkerson once again showing some good performance. And to go along with those guys, as Scott takes it a bit wide, so these wet conditions a little tricky for these guys. Mentioned the practice, Andres Preto, Juan Monroy, and Rodrigo Triana also looking quite well in early practice.
Yeah, Andre is looking very good considering he is carrying an incredible amount of weight, some 132 pounds of success ballast on that Ford GT, as Alex White has come in now with the best time provisionally.
Preto carrying 60 kilograms tonight. So following Marty Uren right now, currently running in the 6th position provisionally, just dropped down to 7th. So you can really see how damp, how wet this track is.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of information on this track as to how quickly it may dry out for these guys, so it's kind of up in the air at this point. One thing we know for sure is that it will at least dry to some extent by the end of this session.
Marty ran with a little bit of traffic up ahead. I don't think it's going to hurt him for this lap. Let's see where he winds up here. To 3rd. So very nice lap from Marty. So Marty currently sitting 3rd. Alex White provisionally on top with a 32.2, followed by David Poole's 33.7. Felipe Triana up to 4th. Joe LaCour still in 5th, and Wilkerson is 6th. Montgomery Jr. in 7th. Right now he is on a hot lap. He's got his teammate just ahead of him. So you wonder if some of these teammates are going to help each other out here, doing a little drafting into some of these corners. It'd be a bit tricky here in the wet, but
it'd be tricky here in the wet. It'd be tricky here overall because really these straights are bisected by some pretty difficult corners to try to get through cleanly and in such a way as to really gain a big draft from a teammate in front. I suppose it's possible though if you do get it just right.
This is NAGP's first ever running here at this circuit in either GT2 or GT1, so as Montgomery jumps up to 5th.
I tell you, Al, this is going to be a real test for these guys tonight. It is a little tricky, and you're really going to have to be on the mark. It can be difficult around here if you're following close to somebody as well. There's a few opportunities to take some big chances into some of these braking zones. They're difficult in the best of circumstances, really, to get just right. So these guys are going to have their work cut out for them.
For a brief moment there, Monroy was up to 3rd, but he was just eclipsed by Aaron Parsons. Ooh, he got his hands full with that Viper, but he has managed to throw that thing up into 2nd. Taking a look at the times at the 33.3. So Alex White so far has he set a lap and he's parked it. Now he's back out. So White's going to try and better his time. So this track should continue to dry out here as the session progresses. Grip may get a little bit better. The pool does not improve.
Yeah, again, the only question is to what extent the track will be drying out.
Esteban Palacio has jumped up to 9th. Felipe Triana, who is looking quite quick in practice, is currently 11th. So Triana, the Audis look like they're good performers here in the dry. In the wet, however, different story. Looks like they may be struggling a little bit for grip.
Mike Monahan sure put in some nice times there in practice. Teammate Esteban Palacio.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry, Al. Teammate Esteban Palacio did join here late. I assumed that Esteban had plenty of practice, but didn't put up many practice times, so we didn't get to see how Mike Monahan's teammate was running.
I know Esty did put some time in here, so should throw down some decent times here. So we're watching Johnny Lugnuts, currently in 11th. Johnny, we've mentioned, talked about him in the past in these wet conditions. Always does quite well.
Yeah, typically does. Johnny Lugnuts, unfortunately, not having a great run out there at Rouen last week, but in any event, he does like the rain, so good opportunity to move forward. As the times are starting to drop, Al, I think the track is drying out.
We talked about Johnny last night, and man, he has been a bit snake bit this season. He's had, not by his own doing, but by other people's, so I'm sure he's looking for a clean run here tonight. He got taken out in Rouen and, if I recall, at Daytona. So he was running quite well at Daytona in the top 10. So look for Johnny to have a better showing here tonight.
Well, he has a good... Sorry, Al. He does have a good car in that Z06R Corvette, so should be a pretty good performer around this plate.
Dan Wilkinson was up top of the timesheets early on, but has dipped down to 13th, so it looks like he may be struggling a bit in these conditions in that Viper.
Yeah, Dan Wilkerson one not struggling too much this season, so currently 4th in our overall Drivers' Championship and looking to really make some noise, it looks like, for this season 23. Looking forward to seeing what he can do.
On board with Dan. Ooh, as we had a Mercedes go off there, and I think he had to check up slightly, so that may cost him a bit of time. So where he is here in the second split. 1.4, he didn't lose too much time. He's pretty consistent with his first sector.
So this is a real critical part of the race here. I think these guys are finding a little bit more grip out there. The times are dropping, so all these guys want to push just a little bit harder, but one little step over the line and it's all over.
So Wilkerson jumps up to 7th. So word from the pit lane is that the soft wets are burning up. We had somebody drop.
Well, I should think so. The friction caused by these long runs down the straights will definitely put a lot of heat into those tires. The track is not particularly hot on track, just 67 degrees, but those softs will heat up in a hurry.
Andres Prieto currently languishing back in 14th. He is carrying a bit of weight here tonight, but I was looking at those sector times in the practice. Practice was in dry. He did have the second best first sector time, so I still think Prieto has some pace here tonight. I just feel like he hasn't put a lap down yet.
It's a possibility. Andres Prieto is honestly not the best driver on the circuit out there in the wet. Still very good, of course, but what I'm wondering more than anything else is just how much wet practice Andres did get in.
John Houston currently running in the 16th position in the SRT Viper. Going on board with John here. See this run up here, this crest this hill into this right-hander, and then back on the gas. Very easy to take it out wide. Go ahead, Brett.
I was going to say the same thing, Al. You read my mind. It does seem like there's way more room than there actually is. You have to be a little careful on throttle there.
So Houston, 1.7 seconds off. He should improve on his current position.
Yeah, pretty well judged those last couple corners, really, here in the wet. Pretty tidy.
Understeer on exit there, but he's back on the throttle, and he jumps up to 11th. Taking a look further down, Montgomery in 12th. Lugnut's in 13th. Mike Monahan back in 14th at the moment. Jack Ivey currently 15th. Jack, oh, he's under a second off in that first split. It looks like he backed off the throttle for some reason. Greg Myers back in 17th. Mike Greatjoke's in the pit lane, currently 18th. Christian Houck, 19th. Ken Rodriguez currently running in the 20th position. Ken, our Thursday night broadcaster, along with Jack Ivey. Although Ken was not able to do the broadcast last week, Brad Maris stepped in and did the GT1 for 3 hours. I commend you, Brad, and Jack, just hanging in there.
It didn't seem longer than 2 hours and 45 minutes, Al.
Tough night overall, but Ken a bit off the pace here, 9 seconds off. I'm sure he'll better that. Carlos Arango currently 21st in the Lamborghini. Kurt Chandler serving a no-qual. John Watson currently in 24th. And there's our running order right now. So Alex White currently leading the field. Taking a look at the times. It looks like Aaron Parsons has closed the gap up a little bit on White. The gap is now only a couple tenths of a second between those two.
Yeah, I keep waiting to see if Alex White is really better his time, but so far time and scoring doesn't show big sector gains by Alex White just yet. He has been on track here the last lap or so we'll see if he's got anything for as the laps wind down here, just 10 minutes to go.
So Alex White improves to a 130 and change. Aaron Parsons starting a lap.
Yeah, it is 40 kilos on board for Alex White due to his success recently. Aaron Parsons has but 10 kilograms on board. However, White's Aston should be a little bit better suited to this rain versus Aaron's Viper.
Parsons winning the first race of the season at Daytona. As Parsons just over a tenth off in the first sector. But Alex White, our winner last week at Rouen, pretty much dominated that race. And
yes, oh yeah, from flag to flag, no doubt, and quickly back to Aaron Parsons. Aaron Parsons did slip back a little bit in that Rouen race, so it's Andres Prieto actually holding that second place in the Drivers' Championship, just 3 behind Alex White at the moment.
Ooh, Parsons picks up some time, just 0.08 of a second off in that second sector. It looks like a pretty good lap
right on
there. Yep. Follow Aaron through the rest of this lap.
Yeah, as we watch them come up to the line, times now just about at the same point they were for some of the slower guys when it was dry.
So Parsons does not improve. Lost some time there in the last sector. Sorry. Rodrigo Triana looking awfully quick here. Currently in third in that Ford GT. Prieto has jumped up to fourth, so Prieto has found some time. Triana on an out lap.
Yeah, and it's that provisional 5th place by John Houston. John Houston did make some big strides here in the last lap or two, so John Houston provisionally 5th.
The track remains wet. It's not raining, however. Looks like the track may be drying out just a little bit. It is quite cool though, but Prieto, he lost a bit of time there in that second sector.
Well, here for these last few laps, it's going to be all about who can find just on the very limit of grip here, who is going to determine our pole position.
Well, John Houston just exiting the pit lane. John Houston has jumped up to P6 provisionally. So nice run early on here. Well, I guess nearing the end of this qualifying session. So good lap there for John.
Yeah, John Houston actually just got bumped out of the 5th place by Juan Monroy, which jumped Andres Prieto as well. So Juan Monroy to P4.
Matt Taylor currently in 7th. Felipe Triana in 8th. Montgomery Jr. running back in 9th. Followed by Marty Uren. Currently in 10th. Nice job by that Aston letting Marty by. Let's check out Marty here through this first sector. Marty half a second off after the first split.
All right, these times are dropping once again, though, Al. Alex White has bettered his time, and it's really going to be last man standing around this place, I think.
To 130.5. Christian Khalili has jumped up to 12th, so I got him real quick. So he's putting in a good run here in the wet in that Porsche. Rigo Triana currently running in 3rd. Yeah, some guys trying to head out there on inters. It's just it looks like it's just a bit too wet for that tire choice. It's gonna be.
It might stay that.
Go ahead.
It might stay that way too, but again, even with the hard wets on, there is some time to be gained yet.
Rodrigo Triana with a great second sector, so he's only a 10th and change off here in the approaching the last couple corners here. He's got some traffic up ahead of him. Looks like the vet's going to let him by. Rodrigo can find himself up to 2nd. At the line? Ooh, he does not improve. Loses a bunch of time there in the last sector.
Yeah, improves the time, but not the position, eh? So, this is going to be really exciting coming down to the end here.
I was just going to say...
Salem Montgomery Jr.
Yeah, I was just going to say Mike Monahan up to 4th, but Salem just eclipsed him. He's now up in 4th. So Monahan running 5th. Just 4 minutes to go here. Ooh, Marty with a big... not sure what happened there. Marty's wrecked out. Monroy now back to 7th. Prieto 8th, Houston 9th, and Taylor 10th. So these positions are starting to shift.
Yeah, we're going to see that right up until the final seconds tick off the clock here, Al.
Parsons a little hard, too much throttle there. Spun the car. He brings it back into the pit lane. Try and get one more lap in. Rodrigo on an out lap. Montgomery Jr. He's on a flyer. See where he is there in the second split. He's under a second off the pace. Taking a quick look at the times. Well, he may improve his time a little bit. I don't think he's going to eclipse Triana, but we'll see. He does not. So White on an out lap. Top 3 on out laps. Montgomery has parked it. Monahan on a flyer here. He's about to complete a lap. It looks like Alex White's trying to help his teammate, waiting for his teammate to approach to give him some bit of a tow. And Mike Monahan improves to 4th, so nice lap from Mike. Drops Salem down to 5th.
So Mike Monahan done. No better than 4th, but still a pretty solid spot for now.
Yeah, good job by Mike. Christian Khalili in 11th. Felipe Triana, just both these guys actually in pit lane 11th 11 and 12, and Triana. Ooh. Looks like Triana might have gone out on inters or soft slicks perhaps, and did not work out. So Great Tricks 13th, Trussler 14th, Joe LaCour back in 15th, Lugnut's back in 16th. Let's quickly run down the order here before it ends. Ivy 17th, Lofton running in 18th, Myers 19th, Hauk 20th, Ken Rodriguez 21st, Carlos Arango 22nd, Chandler 23rd. That's our runners right now. Alex White back up front, a little off his pace there in the second sector. Let's see if he's it. Ooh, nope, that's not going to help. We saw some debris fly off the car. Yeah. Ends up here. He does not improve.
Aaron Parsons has parked it.
Triana now, his last attempt to for that pole position. Triana does not improve. Montgomery about to start a lap. He's not going to have enough time. Monroy's parked it. Uren. That's going to be tough. Now Taylor improves to 9th. Houston now 10th. Going down the order here.
I don't know if anybody else is going to be able to get a lap in out.
I think they're done.
So I expected a few more fireworks than that coming into our last lap, but it just wasn't to be. I guess the end of their grip happened the lap before.
Yeah. I mean, Marty's got a good second split, but I don't think he's got the time. He's left this lap a little too late. Bit of an anticlimactic end to this qualifying.
Well, the last 4 minutes didn't have too many fireworks and explosions. See if Marty can get in here. No!
Not gonna happen.
But plenty of excitement coming into that last 4 minutes, that's for sure. So it's a nice pole position for Alex White by 1/2 of a second, however. So I think this field is going to have a little bit of trouble dealing with the Alex White Aston Martin tonight.
Yeah, definitely a good lap from him in the wet. Triana and Parsons. Wow, look at that gap between those two. It's just a 100th of a second, a little over, separating those two guys. And Mike Monahan with a great run to start 4th, as well as Salem Montgomery in 5th. So we got some guys joining up late here.
Yeah, indeed. We certainly had a lot of drivers drop in that session, or the session before. Didn't hear a lot of guys drop out. A couple. Boy, looking at those standings, there was a good 6 or 7 drivers that had quick disconnect. So let's hope we avoid that the rest of the way to here tonight. Ooh, David Poole is one of them.
I noticed that. I just saw one guy leave, but I didn't realize a few other guys went with him. But in any event, just finish up this qualifying session here and then move on over to the warm-up and then the race. Looking quickly at the points. I know you touched on it briefly. Alex White currently the early leader after 2 rounds with 44 points, followed by Prato with 41, Parsons 36, Dan Wilkerson in 4th with 28, and Matt Taylor 5th with 20. In the team championship, Axis of Awesome, that's Matt Taylor and Alex White. They lead the way with 64. Team Columbia Nuis, that is Andres Preto and Jaime Moore, but I don't believe Jaime Moore is here this evening. They're currently second with 52 points. Actually tied for second, T-Brock Dan Bam there. They also have 52 points, Aaron Parsons and John Houston. In third is Aim High Racing, Dan Wilkerson and Cuppet with 36 points. Speaking of Cuppet, I did not see him here tonight. Oh, looks like he just joined up. And Kung Fu Racing in fifth. That's Marty Uren and Ian Jolicoeur with 23 points. So, still early on here. Some points are actually pretty tight considering.
Well, it is. Of course, it's still relatively early in the season. The thing that strikes me is there are very few drivers actually in this field that have scored points in each of our two events. So, of course, we had our qualifying race, but that's kind of a different event. But our first two official events here, not too many drivers scoring points in both those races. So those points a little skewed, I would say, toward those guys that have put points into both races. But still, Dan Wilkerson really does stand out in my mind. He has been running very solid and putting in good results besides. And really a completely well-earned fourth place overall at the moment.
So, session has ended. We're going to move it on over to warm-up. Ooh, we have a dry warm-up session, so hopefully a sign of things to come for these guys.
Well, they're certainly hoping so. And if you have a second, Al, I wonder if we might not drag somebody up.
Mike Trussler, do you copy?
I do. Hello.
How are you? It's Al and Brad in the broadcast booth. You and Alex.
How you doing?
You're doing good. We were watching you last week at Rouen. You and Alex both had a great run there. You had a little bit of bad luck there at the end where you had to pit late, but you guys put in a good showing. How's the Corvette feeling tonight?
Yeah, pretty good. Qualifying, I hadn't done any laps in the wet, so that was new. I got a fast one in early, which put me in fifth, I believe. But no, that was good. I'm happy where I am. Nice clean start. Should be a good race.
Well, Mike, I'm also wondering about how you're liking the Corvette in this race and then the upcoming season as well. But I'm also looking at some of the overall point classifications. Now, you haven't managed to actually score some championship points yet. What do you plan on doing to correct that?
Well, finish high up. That's the main thing. Last week had a bit of bad luck, underscored the car by a lap, which obviously put us out of the points at the end. So we can finish there. It's just actually getting the job done. So that's what this week's all about.
Well, Mike, thanks for taking the time to talk to us, and good luck. We'll be keeping our eye out for you.
Thank you very much.
Well, there you go. Pretty straightforward. You just got to finish high up. And no, they both had that opportunity last week, and Mike just it's like he miscalculated his fuel, and unfortunately had to pit early, which took him out of contention. Pit late, sorry, which took him out.
Yeah, real unfortunate there after that was a pretty strong run, and we heard him, I think, during his interview, working pretty hard there, working that wheel pretty hard around this Birmingham circuit. So, but in a great position nonetheless here to start this race, to move up the field. And boy, there are going to be some guys that make mistakes around here. So if you are one of those that do not, you will find yourself picking up some positions.
I know we've talked about it in the past, but I think for me the main thing is consistency and not minimizing your mistakes. So if you can do that, stay out of trouble, you can finish well. I mean, the perfect example is here in GT2 is Greg Myers. Greg is just constantly up, starting further back usually. I think he's starting, I don't know, 19th tonight. But you'll see by the end of the night he'll be battling for the points there, possibly in the top 10. And he just runs clean races, and that does the job for him.
You know, I think it really comes down to finding the limits of the car, yes, but also kind of finding the limits of oneself and kind of understanding when these drivers are starting to push a little bit over the line a little bit. And so kind of being able to maintain that aggression with a little mix of kind of understanding what it is we're capable of it too. The guys that find that balance and score very well in the championship.
So we got about a minute and a half to go here before we move on to the race. One of the guys is practicing their pit ins and pit outs and their starts.
Yeah, the pit entry around here relatively straightforward. The pit exit can be a little bit difficult, but these guys should have had enough practice around here. It shouldn't be a problem.
So if you guys are new to watching our race here tonight, if you head over to NorthAmericanGP.com, you can follow live timing there right at the top menu. You'll see GT2 live timing. Just click on that, and you can follow drivers, see where they are on track. It can be a little bit glitchy sometimes, but it does the job. Also, you can find us on Facebook. Search North American Grand Prix, and on Twitter, I believe, at North American GP. Do you use Twitter, Brad? Something tells me you don't.
What's that, Al?
Exactly. That's why I have Andre managing our Twitter account.
It sounds like a very good candidate. That's and by the way, thanks to Andres.
So we're gonna have to get on Andre tonight. No intro video. Everybody loves those.
Yeah, and he does a great job, of course. I guess, unfortunately, Andres having a late flight last night, could not get in time with all of his race duties and get that together. So he did apologize, and you know what? We'll let it go this time.
I was ready to throw some weight on his car for that, but alright, I guess that'll do. He'll get off with a warning tonight. So speaking of weight, we got several guys carrying weight tonight after last week's race. Several penalties here. Let's see, Joe LaCour, Triana, Montgomery Jr., Matt Taylor, Sebastian. Several guys carrying weight leading into tonight's race. We've heard a couple guys drop off here. I'm not sure who. It looks like Felipe Bentancur is out, and I'm not quite sure who else here. Maybe, nope, looks like possibly Kevin Miller. But in any event, we are ready to go racing here. It is, well, nice conditions. Cool, 61 degrees Fahrenheit, 75 degree track temp. Sunny conditions, no sign of rain at the moment. So let's run down the starting order. From pole, Alex White, followed by Parsons, Rodrigo Triana, Mike Monahan, and Montgomery Jr. in 5th.
Juan Monroy starts 6th. Marty Uren is in 7th. Andres Prieto takes 8th. Matt Taylor in 9th. John Houston 10th.
Halili 11th. Felipe Triana 12th. Lugnuts 13th. Greatrix will stop 14th. And Mike Trussell, who we talked to, 15th.
Ian Joe LaCour takes 16th. Jack Ivy's in 17th. John Wathen in 18th. Gregory Myers 19th. And K-Rod in 20th.
Carlos Arengo 21st. Cuppet 22nd. Esteban Palacio 23rd. Dan Wilkerson 24th. And David Poole 25th.
Curtis Chandler starts 26th. Alex Scott takes 27th. Sebastian Bentancur takes 28th. Kevin Miller's in 29th. Brian Story rounds out the field in 30th.
So we got 30 seconds to go here, Brad. As these guys start to line up, what's your thought leading into tonight's race? Is it going to be another white domination, or is someone else going to come through here?
I don't see anybody challenging Alex White tonight. I tell you, I think opening laps always critical, but so too here. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for these drivers to get big drafts and possibly take advantage possible some dive bombs and carnage to ensue. They're going to have to be real careful here the opening couple laps.
Well, let's hope they got the message in the drivers' meeting as the lights about to go out. Start round 3 from Birmingham. We're away. Oh, a bit of a slow start for a couple guys midway through, but Alex White with a great start to this race. Ooh, we have, looks like Monahan's gone off. Top 3 remain consistent. Montgomery Jr. up to 4th after Monahan's off. Houston running 5th. Felipe Triana. He's had a good start as well, running 6th. And Preto has jumped up to 7th. Oh, looks like Matt Taylor might have had a moment. Yeah, you can see Alex White already starting to drive off, putting some bit of distance between himself and Parsons. Ryan Story looking on the inside of Bentancur, unable to get it done. Jack Ivey, ooh, it looks like Rodriguez took it a bit wide. Ivey's going to take advantage. Cuppett hanging on to that 20th position. Ooh, some tire smoke up ahead. Halili, after his great start, has fallen back to 18th. We got 3 wide going into turn 1. Ooh, it looks like that was Palacio. Oh, heavy contact. Looks like Cuppett's involved. It looked like an overambitious move by Palacio and resulting in that accident. So Palacio loses his front clip, and he's going to have to bring that thing in. There's no give and take out there, Brad. That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, up front, Alex White leading this one. Well, looks like these two have started to check out. Parsons holding on for the time being onto the back of White. Put a little bit of gap between themselves and Triana. As Triana makes a mistake, it's going to open the door for Montgomery Jr. and Houston. Well, with Houston as we follow this battle for 3rd. Vipers has just exited the pit lane. That might have been Cuppett.
Yeah, indeed, it was Cuppett.
So Houston doing a nice job hanging on to Montgomery Jr. Behind him, Triana and Preto. Preto unable to make any headway here. Running in 7th. Marty Uren and Juan Monroy on board with Marty. Down the straight here off of Monroy's running some low wing. Doesn't look like Marty can make up any ground on down these straights.
Yeah, big key to speed around this track out is really holding momentum through some of these corners. Again, they're kind of just bisecting rather long straights and acceleration zones. So super, super critical to keep the momentum up. If you can do that, you'll turn some lap times around.
Matt Taylor back in 11th. He's got Joe LaCour up in front. So it's Kung Fu Racing running 9th and 10th. Those guys try and chase down Monroy up ahead, but it's just a train of cars right now.
It really is, and speaking of trains of cars, Johnny Lugnuts, Greg Myers, and Halili there, 13th and 15th, all nose to tail at the moment, fighting for that coveted 13th spot.
Just picked up that battle on board with Halili. We mentioned Greg at the top of the broadcast, already in the points as he tries to chase down Johnny Lugnuts for that 13th spot. So Johnny having a pretty decent run here this evening. Johnny missing Liquid Lou. That's a name we haven't seen tonight. Lou Mascarelli.
Yeah, it's a good point, Al.
You know what? I really, you know, I don't want to speak too soon, but watching Halili here, he's real. Ooh, as we've had a big incident between Taylor and Mike Monahan down the straight. So both Audis of Chow Mein Moto severely damaged. Matt Taylor has got he's got a puncture, so that's going to be big in the team championship.
Did you catch what happened there, Al?
I did not. Matt's trying to make it back to the pit lane, doing a pretty decent job staying out of the racing line, but another tough night for Matt. But going back to Halili, he's really improved a great deal, running really close to Greg, really tight, closing up on him in some of these corners, and really doing a good job staying off the back of Greg.
I would say has improved by leaps and bounds. You know, and collected some points there last week at Rowland, and looking strong here. And Halili, I think, is a factor going forward for what you might call some of these middling positions. Anytime you're fighting for a top 10 around here at NAGP, you are starting to make some pretty serious inroads into the field.
So Halili may get a run here on Greg at the exit of that corner. Ooh, had a look on the inside, thought better of it. This is a great battle here for... Oh, it looks like Preto may have made an error here as he's fallen back to 10th. So Preto... Oh, Preto with heavy damage to the front of his car. I wonder if he was involved with that Taylor incident. But Preto is still out there doing laps. The front of his car is completely deformed. But it doesn't look like it's affecting him too badly.
Yeah, don't switch off that battle or we'll give you a quick update at the front. Parsons really has stabilized that gap, but I'm a little curious as to whether Alex White maybe just isn't pushing as hard as he could. I think Alex White is really just trying to maintain, you know, 1.5 2 second gap here at the moment. Marty, you ran into the pits from 9th, Al.
Pick that up. Let's see if we can see what's going on with Marty. Yeah, he's in early, so that's an early stop. Not sure what happened. Ooh, Halili now looking on the inside of Greg. Ooh, he had a run, and that's a perfect example. I mean, a lot of guys would have thrown it in there, but Halili was patient and thought better of it.
I've been biting my tongue since the start. I'm going to go ahead and just continue biting my tongue. Oh, there we go.
And looks like he's going to get the pass made on Greg. Side by side. I believe Greg might have could have made a slight error that allowed Halili to make that move, but these two were teammates last season in GT2. Let's not forget.
Yeah, Greg. He makes a run back.
Wow, I'm surprised. The legs on that Porsche.
Yeah, again, a lot of that can be determined by exit speed, and Kreshnik locks up a little bit there. A lot of that can be determined by exit speed too, and that Porsche is going to get around the corners pretty well, though of course the Ferrari behind him, no slouch either.
So word from the garage is that was Marty within his pit window, elected to pit early.
Well, Marty may have had some damage or something. He wanted to go ahead and get fixed up, make sure he could run good laps. Of course, now that is going to put him in a little bit of traffic, so always a little bit of a gamble pitting early.
So meanwhile, Johnny Lugnutz has put some distance between that Halili and Greg Myers battle. Now, Johnny putting the pressure on Prato, who is dealing with a battered car.
Matt Taylor's now into the pits from being pretty buried in the field. I suspect it's probably a scheduled stop.
Johnny can get a run on Prato here. He does not.
Yeah, as you watch that battle, I'll give you an update on another one very quickly. Rodrigo Triana, Salem Montgomery, and Felipe Triana all starting to fight over third place now as well.
Prato continues to clip the walls on exit on a lot of these corners. That car is torn up. Without fighting an understeer issue, but Johnny doing all he can. Now Halili has put the pressure on. He's caught back up to Lugnutz and really laying it on him here.
Yeah, Andres is really struggling with that weight. I don't think there's any question about that. And these guys are going to have a go at him, I think. So, going to have to be a little careful here, fighting with all amongst each other.
Haley looking on the inside, thinks better of it. This particular corner has a huge dip as you enter.
Very difficult on the brakes there, for sure.
So let's look real quickly up front. So Alex White, who already, that's Marty who pitted early, so Marty's about to go a lap down. Alex White just set a new fast lap of the race with a 22.73.
Yeah. It was interesting, I was watching that gap. Aaron Parsons actually had closed it back down to within a second, so I was keeping a close eye to see if Alex White was going to respond to that, and he has.
So this battle for third continues to wage as Monroy, I'm sorry, that's Triana and Montgomery Jr. nose to tail. Looks like Montgomery may have an opportunity coming up here.
As you watch that, I'll tell you, Felipe Triana was actually in that battle, just made a small mistake and fell off the back.
On the exit there, yep, looks like Salem may get the job done, but that Ford's got some legs. Ooh, a little bit of contact. Triana takes the spot back. Felipe Triana now involved in the mix. Meanwhile, John Houston sitting back in 6th. He's just biding his time here as Triana looking on the inside of Montgomery. Wow, nice pass by Felipe. Nicely done. So Felipe up to 4th.
Yeah, and as that battle goes on, it is now Sebastian Betancourt and, Jack Ivy fighting for position. Back toward the lower end of the points, though, over 15th.
So Prato now has fallen back to 12th. So Prato, not sure if you caught that, Brad, but those
I didn't catch that one out.
So Myers, Halili, and Lugnuts have all gotten past Prato. So these three guys are really having a great fight here. Greg Myers now getting a run on Halili. Wow, I'm really surprised by the pace of that Porsche down the straight. I know the Ferrari's no world beater down the straights, but I think it could hang with the Porsche.
I really think from watching that battle that it is exit speed. The Porsche is able to maintain better momentum through the apex and coming off.
Halili now looking on the outside, trying to do a little up and under move on Lugnuts. Can't get it done. So as we continue to watch this fight, we're going to take a quick run down the field here, see where everybody's stacking up. We got Prato running in 12th. Trussler, wow, Mike Trussler running in 13th. Really doesn't have anybody behind him. Quite the gap. He's got Prato up ahead. Ooh, his teammate now running 14th. So just like last week, the teammate's running in the points. Ooh, Betancourt just had a spin. He's fallen back to 16th. He's turning around. He's out of the points. So that moves Ivy now. Wow, Ivy missing his front clip. And Kurt Chandler running 16th. Betancourt gets the car turned around and he's back on it. Ken Rodriguez in 18th. Uren, who pitted, he's running 19th. Dan Wilkerson, not sure what happened to him, but he is back in 20th. Mike Monahan, after repairs and service, he's in 21st. He's got Jonathan Cuppett a little bit behind him in 22nd. Palacio, he's had service as well. He's back in 23rd. Matt Taylor, he is out of this race. Carlos Arango, 25th. Greatrix looks like he's out running in 26th. And that's it, Brad.
Yeah, that's it. But in the meantime, it is still Krishna Khalili and Johnny Lugnuts going at it, tooth and nail here for now what is the 9th position. So Johnny Lugnuts having a little bit of a power advantage, I think, in that Corvette down the straights. Krishna not giving him any inch he can possibly help.
So come across, they came up on some lap traffic.
Yeah, I see Greg Myers has now rejoined that fight. Greg Myers actually slipped a couple seconds back after making a small mistake, so I suspect really at this point Lugnuts might be holding these guys up just a little bit.
Really just does not have the looking on the inside. Again on the inside. Oh, wow, Khalili really anxious to get by him here. He's got the pace on him through the corners. He just does not have the speed down the straights.
Juan Monroy is just showing up as a DNF with an engine, Al.
Oh yeah, we just saw the smoke. So Monroy out of this race with an expired engine.
Wow, moving all these guys into the top 10 now. So it is a battle for the 8th position now. Johnny Lugnuts has it. These guys want it.
Brito also, oh look at Trussler has caught up to this fight as well. So Trussler showing some nice pace here. He's up to 12th. Somehow Prato is able to manage to get this car around, even with all that damage.
He's got to be within a pit window by now. I mean, some of these other fuel-hungry cars have already pitted, so I don't know why he would still be continuing to circulate out there on track if you can get in and get that damage fixed.
So Montgomery now, it looks like he might have made a mistake. He's fallen back to 6th. Houston's up to 5th. Felipe Triana and his brother now, Rodrigo, going at it. So let's see if they show each other some brotherly love here. I'm going with Felipe. This is for the final step on that podium. This will be huge for Felipe. It's a shame what happened to those Chow Mein Moto guys, Mike Monahan and Palacio, because those Audis are really strong here, evident by Triana's pace and Monahan's pace in practice and his qualifying.
Yeah, unfortunately Mike Monahan was not helped out just now, as there was a little bit of contact. Didn't see exactly what happened with Sebastian Betancourt and another driver. He popped into Aaron Parsons, so very near moment for Aaron Parsons. Aaron did suffer some damage on that Viper and some lost time to Alex White as a result.
Look at the gap between White and Parsons, 3 seconds, and then behind them it's 20 seconds as Prato brings it into the pit lane. So
Ooh, Kreshnik Khalili has gone off, Al.
Ooh, yeah, he has. He's back in 11th. So that moves Trussler into the top 10, and well, Greg Myers has now moved up to 8th. So something happened between as Lugnutz has some heavy damage. So I'm not sure what happened there, but looks like Lugnutz is back on pace. Greg Myers now up to that 8th position. Joe LaCour now in 7th. Montgomery running 6th. And now we have Triana looking on the inside of the other Triana. Ooh, and Felipe gets it done. Wow, a couple really nice passes by Felipe tonight.
Yeah, he's got the Audi working. I think by looking at some of the cars out there now, I think they are starting to suffer for some pretty good tire degradation.
Yeah, I mean, what I've noticed is he's able to get, really plant the car on entry, and the car sticks. A lot of these guys tend to wash out through the corners, but that Audi is really able to get through these corners well.
Yeah, this is braking pretty well sorted now. Looking at Alex White's times, Alex White is about 1 second off of his best lap here, kind of lap after lap. So times are increasing for these guys.
So we worked lap 16, that pit window, max distance here tonight.
Yeah, as you look at that, it is now Mike Trussler making some inroads on Johnny Lugnutz. So those guys have come together here before they decide on their pit stop.
Looks like it's showing max distance 42 laps.
Curtis C. in from 18.
Kurt into the pits as Felipe now has put a little bit of space between himself and Rodrigo. But not far off this fight is John Houston. So Houston putting in a great run, which is going to pay off for T-Brock Dambam as Matt Taylor out of this race. Parsons is running second. White is leading. Even if he wins, I think the results stay the way they are. T-Brock Dambam damn Bam could find themselves up front in the team championship. So this battle for third continues to go on here. It looks like Rodrigo just not able to close the gap on Felipe. So we're looking around lap 21, lap 20 for some of these guys. A lot of guys have already pitted early.
Yeah, they have, and we saw Marty Urin coming very early. Now, Andres Prieto did have a lot of damage. He circulated for quite a while, but Marty Urin has jumped Andres Prieto in the pits. So, that damage for Andres Prieto really hampering him. We'll see where he cycles through, but I don't think it's going to be to his liking. Boy, Aaron Parsons.
Go ahead, sorry.
Sorry, Aaron Parsons really struggling now with front grip on that Viper.
Yeah, he's got a bit of damage on that car. I've noticed he's clipped the wall a couple times.
Yeah, again, that was unintentional contact by Aaron Parsons. He had some help with that damage.
So looking further back here, we got Houston 5th, Montgomery in 6th. Joe LaCour having a quiet run in 7th. Greg Myers running in 8th. Lugnut's back in 9th. And Halili in 10th. So this battle has separated a little bit here. Let's see what happens after these pit stops. Alex Scott now has jumped his teammate to 11th. Trussler in the pit lane. So Trussler pitting in early. Marty's going to take that spot away, so Marty now is going to move up to 12th. We know Marty pitted early. So Marty could find himself in decent shape here.
You know, Andres Prieto was running behind Marty Urin. I see Andres Prieto again with massive damage. So Andres Prieto slipped back a spot or two from Marty Urin, and boy, that front is caved in.
On the front and rear, I wonder if Prieto even had that damage repaired. It doesn't look like he did. I mean, that's a lot of damage to have on his car in just a few laps.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure he would elect to get that fixed.
So Marty up to 12th, Betancourt in 13th. And we talked about Prieto, he's running in 14th. Ken Rodriguez taking it wide, running in 15th, just gave that away to Wilkeson. So Wilkeson up to 15th, K-Rod 16th. Mike Trussler rejoins in 17th, right behind Felipe Triana. Jack Ivey running in 18th. Curtis C., you mentioned Kurt, he pitted early, so Kurt now back in 19th. Cuppet running in 20th. Esteban in 21st. His teammate in 22nd. Monroy out with an engine failure. So quite a few DNFs here tonight.
Yeah, I don't think that's too shocking. Unfortunately, there's a little bit too much mayhem there. The opening lap certainly didn't help.
So it looks like Taylor suffered an engine failure as well, and Graytrick's a suspension failure. So as we watch White here, White with a bit of damage as well on his car.
Well, it is very difficult to completely avoid damage around this place. The walls do come up on these drivers very quickly. And again, to make your best speed, you do have to take a few chances. So very easy to get it just a tiny bit wrong, collect a little bit of damage.
So taking a look at the gap now between White and Parsons is 7 seconds. Felipe Triana 28 seconds back. John Houston now has jumped up to 4th. So it looks like Rigo Triana may have pitted. Well, that would have been a quick pit stop. He's back in 10th. So I'm I'm not sure if you caught that, but Khalili now has caught back up to Lugnuts, so looks like this battle's going to re-ensue here. I don't even know if that's a word.
It sounds like close enough to a word for me, Al, and I was noticing that. I had just put an eyeball on that myself. Alex Scott in from the 16th position.
So Houston quickly closing up on Felipe Triana. Got, looks like that's Trussler, lap traffic, so Houston really putting on a charge here late. I wonder if Felipe is starting to struggle with the handling of his Audi.
I suspect that's true. I mean, we did see that Audi really laying down the law there early, so perhaps it was an aggressive setup, gaining some extra grip early for Felipe Triana and then having those tires fall off a little bit late. I suspect both these guys due for a pit stop here at any moment. But in any case, a great opportunity for John Houston, like you say, currently tied in second team in the championship. T-Brock Damdam.
We got some lap traffic up ahead of Felipe. Let's see if Felipe decides to bring it in here at this juncture. He's got Houston all over the back of him.
I tell you, I'm a little curious as to these guys. Whoa!
Oh, Houston locks it up under braking. Ooh, easy there, buddy. All right, he's back. He gives up that spot to Montgomery. And looks like Joe Licor might take advantage as well.
So like I was saying, as we see these guys slide around a little bit, I'm a little curious that these guys have not elected to come in by now, get those shoes replaced. There's a lot of time to be gained out there on track.
As Houston continues to have issues under braking, and Joe Licor lucky to get around that spun car of Houston. Wow, Houston might just be pushing a little too hard. You got to relax a little bit.
Well, I tell you, Houston's in danger now of giving up a spot to Gregory Myers when he does finally come in for that pit stop. I think Gregory Myers will take over that position. If he's come... Oh, I'm sorry. I thought Gregory Myers had pitted. He had not. So Myers also due for a stop.
So that moves Joe Licor up to 5th. Montgomery Jr. now in 4th. He's going to be able to... Oh, he looks like he's going to start closing in on Felipe. So at this point, Felipe, he's in. He's had enough. He sees the time he's losing to those guys, and he's brought it in. So I think that was a smart play by Felipe.
Well, obviously, tire management is a concern around this place, seeing the times drop off as we have.
Oh, Houston has brought it in as well. So Houston has come in. Joe Licor has stayed out. So Alex White, he is staying out here. Parsons as well.
Yeah, so far it looks like everybody in the top 7 has yet to pit.
Meanwhile, Halili and Lugnuts, they're back at it.
Yeah, it's going to be really critical here if Halili wants to jump Johnny Lugnuts. I think he's going to have to do it in the pits.
On board with crushing it.
And this really is a good opportunity now. About the only guy holding really good pace of the drivers that have not pitted. Gregory Myers still running very consistent laps. Ian Jolicoeur into the pits from fourth.
These two guys are going to stay out.
Yeah, really good move there by Kreshnik, really. That corner does tighten up very quickly on exit. So making sure he left plenty of room.
Now, Jolicoeur, that's a pretty quick stop.
Yeah, it was. I'm wondering if Ian...
Wow, what a battle between these two guys. Ian did not take tires, so he did double stint. That's the word from the pit lane.
Ah, gotcha. You know, I'm seeing a little bit more what's going on now. We did see those times start to go up, but you know what? The temperature's come down quite a bit. I think that maybe these tires are actually being saved a little bit by the temperature reduction on track. You guys are actually have moderated their times a bit at this point, so perhaps not giving up quite as much as they were.
It's going to be interesting to see how Ian holds on here later on in the stint. Ooh, easy, Kurt. Kurt taking it off. Oh, Halili. Oh, it's just a replay of what we saw earlier. Ooh, it's going to take a mistake. I just said it. I was just about to say it. And finally, Halili gets by, but Johnny's going to get a run.
Well, it's a little too late to close the door now. I think I would have considered some pretty decent blocking moves if I was Kreshnik. Early blocking moves.
And you got that Viper right behind those guys. And they got... Not sure if that's Cuppert or Wilkerson, but I'm sure he's got some pace on these guys. Halili's going to hang on to it.
Wow.
He does. Wow.
Well, that has got to be a relief for Kreshnik. Wow. Oh. Boy, it always changes the perspective after finally making that pass. It'll take a little while to get sorted and refocused on just how to drive here when you're not close to somebody in front.
We should see Kreshnik start to gap Johnny a little bit here, especially through these corners. Ooh, Johnny taking it wide into the wall! Oh, Johnny. And he's parked it. He is done. What a tough race finish for Johnny. That's a shame.
Yeah, as you mentioned that, Aaron Parsons has come into the pits, and Alex White just now. That is a real bummer for Johnny Lugnuts. Tough, tough break.
Let's see if Alex decides to take tires here. He does not. I didn't see him go up on the jacks.
Yeah, so Alex White's still about a 7/10, a second off of his best lap times, but everybody's been doing that now for quite a few laps. Everybody, I think, about in the same boat, about 1 second off their very best pace.
So Montgomery in second, right behind White, and look at this, they're about to put Prato a lap down. Prato gets out of the way.
Well, championships are as much about what you do when you aren't running very strong in any given race as they are about going out and taking the checkered flag. Gregory Myers finally in from the 6th position. And you gotta assume he's not going to take tires if nobody else has.
Yeah, we'll have to see what he elects to do here. He does not. He's away. So 2 races in a row where these guys are double stinting tires.
Yeah, so Gregory Myers has not improved his position. When that pit stop rotation started, he was in the 9th position, and he remains there at the moment.
You gotta wonder if Marty, seeing as he pitted a lot earlier than everybody else, if he elected to take tires or not.
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I'll take a look at those times and see if I can figure it out. Yeah, I think he did, Al. Yeah, I think Marty Urin is on fresher rubber.
May cost them here in the long run. Salem continues to run in second. He has yet to pit. Parsons back in third. Let's take a look at that gap. It is 26 seconds. So you gotta figure Parsons took tires.
Yeah, looking through the pit times, he did take tires.
And Joe LaCour is 15 seconds off of Parsons' pace. So it's going to be a quiet run to second here for Parsons. It's going to be interesting to see if Montgomery takes tires, and if he does not, if he's going to beat Parsons out of the pit lane. So let's take a look here as Montgomery brings it in.
Yeah, still a few laps to run here, Al. A good 14 laps or so. So some damage can be done by the guys that elected to swap those shoes out. Oh, Andre's off again into turn 1. Boy. You might be muted there, Al.
Sorry. Looks like Joe LaCour is going to take third. Great job by Ian. Wow. So it looks like Montgomery did not take tires, but Joe LaCour had some great laps after his stop. Allowed him to get out in front of Salem to take over that third position. But he's going to be under a lot of heat here from Salem here at the end.
So Kreshnik has yet to pit, and he has posted a time very close to his best time just a couple laps into this event. So I guess I have to take it back what I said about the tires, as watching those times balloon up a little bit, but they seem to have stabilized very well. Obviously, tires not playing a huge role.
Yeah, Kreshnik in 5th. We know Felipe... I gotta wonder what happened if Triana... Felipe Triana now down a lap in 15th.
Well, I don't know about Felipe, but Rodrigo looks like he has definitely taken tires.
Oh, as Triana gets into the back of Kreshnik. That loses him a spot to Rodrigo, so that's unfortunate. Lap car getting into the back of Kreshnik after such a great run here tonight. Luckily for him, he only lost one spot, but still unnecessary.
Yeah, and Kreshnik yet to complete a pit stop, actually. now it looks like John Houston has pulled up on the back of Marty Urin. Now we know John Houston has taken tires. Marty Urin has not. So that is a battle for the 7th spot at the moment. Or I should say, Marty Urin, of course, has taken tires, but been on them quite a long time by this point.
Marty running way wide. Houston making a run out of him. Looks like Houston's going to get it done. He does. Nice pass for John. Moves him up to 7. And you can see how quickly John's starting to pull away from Marty here. After that move.
Well, still in all, not a bad run up for Marty Urin. He pitted from somewhere more toward the back, so we'll see how many positions he can hold on to here. But he's got a good chance to. His next closest rival at this point is going to be Gregory Myers. First car, 1 lap down.
Greg's going to get past. Kreshnik is away. He does not take tires. But that spin, that cost him. He probably would have come out pretty close to Greg, if not even with him. So Mike Trussler also has jumped up to 9th. So what a great run for Trussler here tonight. After talking to him prior to the start of this race.
Yeah, maybe we should switch off of them to avoid the broadcaster's curse, but...
Lely comes out right behind Trussler. That's a fight we're going to have to keep an eye on. Franco now 11th. We got Alex Scott behind him in 12th. Dan Wilkerson in the points now, running in 13th. Felipe Triana lap down in 14th. Sebastian Betancourt running 15th. And Kurt Chandler in 16th. Ooh, and Kurt is damaged and off the pace. He's lost that position to Cuppet. Ken Rodriguez running 18th. Palacio back in 19th. Monahan 20th. Ivy back in 21st. We had 32 start today, down to 21. A lot of retirements. Take a look at the gaps here. White 20 seconds up on Parsons. Parsons got 21 seconds over Ian Jolicoeur, so barring any incidents here late, it should be White, Parsons 1-2.
Well, still a few laps to go here, and incidents.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that incidents are a possibility around here. It can be difficult to get through lap traffic, as we've seen, and very easy to make a mistake. A little too short on the apex can certainly put you into the wall and bounce you into the outside armcos.
Montgomery Jr. has lost a significant time to Jolicoeur, so Jolicoeur really laying down some laps here late. Triana running in 5th, not that far off of Salem. He could reel him in here towards the end. Houston,
yeah, and that's
6. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I'll chop across you there. Yeah, that was the battle I was actually looking for. Rodrigo Triana has taken tires, so he should make some inroads onto Salem Montgomery Jr.
Take a look that gap. It is about 6 seconds between those two. So I'll have to keep an eye on that gap. Houston running in 6. So now, the nightmare continues for Halili. He went from one vet to another, as he is now trying to make his way past Mike Trussler here. He's going to be having nightmares about Corvettes tonight.
Yeah, and really Alex Scott not too far off that battle either, so just a couple 3 seconds in arrears. Boy, a guy who has kind of quietly made his way back up through this field is Dan Wilkerson there in 13th. You mentioned it in the field rundown there. Dan Wilkerson got off to a bad start, got a lot of contact, went a lap down early actually, so the fight back up into 13th is a very nice showing for Dan Wilkerson towards the end of this event.
He's got Felipe Triana not that far off of him. That would be a tough challenge for Felipe to get by that Viper of Wilkerson down these straights.
Yes.
Freito running in 12. Back up here to this battle between Halili and Trussler. Halili taking a look on the inside, can't get it done. Ooh, as Trussler runs a bit wide, Halili is going to take advantage. He cannot. Down. Gonna let Parsons by here. He does. This could help him here.
I wonder.
Trussler's gonna have to slow him up. Slow up to let Parsons.
That's true.
by.
Yeah, good point, Al. You know, I'm wondering if we are gonna run the total 42 laps, or if we're gonna end on time before that, Al. Do you have a sense of that?
Ooh, as Halili makes a slight mistake. Well, as we run, we got 54 minutes into this race.
It'll come up a little short of 42 laps.
So working lap 36, sorry.
Yeah, I'm watching that gap come down very rapidly between Salem Montgomery Jr. and Rodrigo Triana. Now, Rodrigo Triana, just about a second and a half off of Salem Montgomery Jr., has been closing into the tune of about 1 second per lap.
Yeah, get some lap cars getting by. Oh, Montgomery's blown up!
Oh!
That explains a lot.
Yeah, boy, it sure does. And what a tough break. So that was for the 4th position of this race.
Wow. Tough end to the night for Salem. Well, that explains why he dropped out the pace from Joe LaCour.
Yeah, Rodrigo Triana had some pace on him anyway, but it certainly does explain that dramatic decrease there.
Wow, big explosion. We haven't seen one of those in a long time.
It's been a while, the kablamo. So it is, that will advance everybody in the field, though, ahead a spot, including Krishna Khalili there. Now 9th, that Gregory Myers in 7th has made just a ton of ground into this field from that starting toward the back. Oh, it's so easy, Al. Just don't hit anybody or hit anything else. It's just so easy. I mean, look, everybody, you're gonna run into trouble sometimes. yeah, you're going to run into some bad luck. Somebody's going to bounce off a wall and hit you. You're going to make a mistake. It happens. But, you know, come on.
Yeah, Brett, I mean, I'm with you. I don't know how else to explain it.
I mean, look, Greg Myers, great driver, obviously, but he's turning lap times in the 1 minute 30 range. And he's running, well, 7th now, actually just got put down by somebody. But anywho, you get the point.
Yeah. Consistency, and he stays out of trouble. Ooh, as Parsons just blasted the wall.
Speaking of, Parsons is making a lot of ground here on Alex White. It's not going to be enough. He doesn't have near enough time. However, he's going to push as hard as he can.
Yeah, 17 seconds left in this race. I mean, 17 minutes. Wait a second. 18 second gap. Sorry. It's going to be a tough task. Take a look at the laps, working lap 38.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, Aaron came out some 24 seconds or so it gained about 10 seconds over the course of those pit stops. So that always kind of entices a guy to do whatever one can to try to get up there.
So as the field has split, separated itself a little bit. Ooh, as Halili, we missed it. Halili has gotten past Trussell for 8.
Marty, you're in making a late stop, Al. So perhaps he was not in his pit window.
Wow. Well, it should be a quick gas and go. Let's see if Greg's able to get past. Greg's, he may be able to do it. Or he may have enough time here. Greg about to get onto the main straight. Wow, it's a lot of fuel for Marty.
Yeah. Greg's got him.
Greg got him. So Marty drops down to 7th, so Greg to 6th.
Yeah, nice run. Nice run for Greg. Well earned.
Halili smells blood. He sees Marty up ahead. And Halili may have some pace on Marty.
Well, at least it's not a Corvette.
That's true. And further up here, this race is winding down. With White.
Yeah, now turning lap times in the 1 minute 29 range.
Looks like we probably have one more lap here.
Well, it's been a pretty good heck of a race, I'd say, Al, on balance. Had a few retirements. I tell you what, Andres Prieto and his struggles here tonight. A lot of people going out in front of Andres Prieto really has helped his championship hopes here. Still early in the season, as mentioned, but Andres could have finished much, much worse this race.
I'll tell you what a great night this is going to be for Trussell and Alex Scott if they can finish this way, 9th and 10th, both cars in the top 10.
Yeah, absolutely well earned for those guys too. Alex Scott, he also got put to the back early and just made an amazing run back up through the field.
Triana has gotten past Wilkinson for 12th. Core, Cuppet, and Palacio up to the points after his moment. Alex White. This should do it. Maybe not. Spoke too soon.
Yeah, so I guess we'll come up one lap forward is all. Yeah, Aaron Parsons has cut that gap now down to about 14 seconds.
So Lely doesn't look like he's going to make up any ground on Uren. Trussler continues in ninth. Plato. This battle for 12 here between Wilkerson and Triana. I mean, Wilkerson may, if he gets close to him, he could run him down the straights, but I think he's going to have enough time here. Let's try to make some kind of mistake.
Yeah, same too for Marty Uren trying to hound down Gregory Myers now. About 3 off, but certainly not close enough to get into the draft. And it looks like Alex White has crossed the line out.
Oh, he's done. Oh, we missed it. Aaron Parsons. He's going to take second. Great run for Aaron. Joe LaCour, what a run for him. Carrying some penalty weight as well, 30 kilograms. We have to mention that. But he should take third here. Triana should take fourth. Houston fifth. Greg Myers. Ooh, it looks like one of the Vipers is out of fuel. Ooh, Greg is out of fuel as well.
Oh. Shouldn't
Marty's
matter.
out of
Gregory
fuel
Myers.
as well. Oh, wait, no, they're
Oh,
allowed.
wow.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got too excited.
Yeah.
Ooh, my bad. Oh, that's going to do it. Wow. Well, there you have it. Alex White with another dominating performance here tonight, Brad.
Yeah, in the end, it wasn't too close with Aaron Parsons. Aaron did get caught up in a little bit of misfortune with suffering some aero damage there early, but it didn't look like he quite had the pace for Alex White anyway, and yeah, relatively easy win as it was last week, but those kilograms are going to start to mount on that Alex White machine, so tough to see what happens here the next couple events.
And Joe LaCour taking the final podium position, so great run for him as well as Scott, Alex Scott and Trussler. Great job, and Halili was the guy of the night tonight. He put on a show for us. So we'll be back next week, next Monday from Oschersleben, and hopefully you can join us then next Monday at 9. This Thursday we got GT1 from Adelaide, so that should be a fun race. So hopefully you can join Jack Ivey and Ken Rodriguez for that one. So until next week, thanks Brad. Have a good night.